All right, welcome back to another episode of Past and Present Cardboard. Got my buddy Doug here, Joewoodcollector, and we're ready for another episode. So, Doug, Happy New Year.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited. Start a nice
So,
fresh year.
yeah, and so I know we talked a little bit before the show started, but you mentioned you got a new card in. So, like, have you got anything cool new in? Christmas presents, anything new for your collection over the holiday?
My daughter bought me a graded card binder.
Oh, okay. I've seen
So
those.
yeah, I'm kind of excited to try it out. And it's supposed to hold SGC holders, so we'll see.
Nice, nice. I know. You've definitely got a few SGC cards. So one of the things we talked about in the last show was, or we kind of talked about a little bit around SGC and PSA. Um, you know, from your perspective, you definitely love the SGC look, right?
I do. I definitely do. Except especially for the pre-war.
Yeah, and I think we were just kind of making fun of a card we just saw a minute ago, where it was almost like sideways in that PSA holder. Um, I think they definitely, and I think PSA has gotten better at their holder in recent years. But if you
Yeah,
go back in history, they didn't really care about making an insert or sizing the holder to the card. They just kind of like put that plastic, you
yeah,
know,
without much care.
yeah, and then that makes the card kind of swim around in the holder and just look really terrible.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm definitely not a big fan of that either, and especially when you look into some of those cards are really thin, and you can still damage them if you bang them around a little bit.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Um, so yeah, so today, from because we had a few topics we were going to cover. Today, I definitely want to go over because as being longtime collectors, you know, we always kind of have sets and things that we think are, underrated, undervalued, or just like not as popular as we think they should be. So now, Doug, you definitely have a set here you want to talk about. So you want to go ahead and introduce what you think is kind of an underrated, undervalued set, or just pre-war, let's say
Right.
collectible.
Right. The set we wanted to talk about tonight was the Ferguson Bakery felts.
All
I
right.
think, yeah, I think they're just an awesome side piece for your collection. The pictures were all taken from the Mendelssohn collection, and they were all used on the M116. So it's all the same pictures as the M116. Um,
Oh wow.
I'm sorry, M101.
In one on
Dash
one. Okay.
415. They're all the same pictures from those, and they've transferred them onto a felt pennant, which are really neat. The size is 6 inches long by like 2 7/8. It used to be that they would put them in a big SGC or BVG slab, which to me were just really ugly. But here,
Hmm.
and over the last couple of years, they've put them um, in this size holder right here, which
Oh
for your
wow.
collection makes them much nicer. So they're in a postcard type holder. They fit in there perfect. Um, the like I said, the photos were all taken from the M101 4 and 5 set, and you could get the pennants by buying a loaf of bread, and you get one pennant per loaf of bread. And they were produced in the Boston area, and they were put out in honey loaves, honey loaf breads. So,
Honey loaf bread. Don't
yeah.
think that's around anymore.
No, I don't think so either.
I'm sure there's some collector somewhere that has a loaf of honey loaf bread somewhere in his collection, like a box of tobacco cards or a box of tobacco, right?
Right, yeah, kind of a side display. Yeah, that would be really neat. That would be really neat.
So the one thing that that's interesting about the set, and we'll walk through some kind of the set a little bit, but is they're in multiple colors.
Right.
And to your knowledge, there's definitely the same player in multiple colors, but there could
Correct.
be possibly 6 different colors per player.
Right. I think that I'm not 100% sure, but I know that there are 6 different colors in the set. But I really don't know how many colors for each player. But I think that being that there is 6 different colors, that each player could come with 6 different colors.
Yeah, I mean, this really reminds me, and I talk about it a little bit, is how, you know, the pre-war cards mirror more closely, I think, to modern cards than 50s and 60s cards, because you had things like these parallels. You see parallels and the backs on T206s, right? And here we're seeing, multiple colors of pennants per player, when you can kind of build a rainbow of your player, which is such a modern way of collecting. But you could do
It
that in
is.
the 1916s, which is
Yeah,
really weird.
I thought that was a really neat. You got the new cards that come out, and that's the big thing is, build your rainbow, get all the different colors, get all the different variations. Actually, that is a goal of mine. I would love to get the Joe Wood rainbow color of all the different BF2 felt pennants. Currently I have 2. I have the pink. This one actually has a very rare actual sticker on the back. I don't really think there's
Okay.
any premium for the stickers that are on the back, but usually they always come off. This is
Yeah.
one of the rare ones that still has it. So I have the pink one, and then I have the burgundy. Let's see if I can get it in there.
Wow.
There we are. And then I have the burgundy.
Wow, that's really cool.
So I
So
think,
going through,
yeah, go ahead.
I was saying, go through the set. The one thing about the set too is that it's 97 players. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah,
So
90,
97 players.
97 different players.
And I mean, the fact that we start out with, Grover Alexander to start with is a pretty good start. Now, for me personally, as I kind of scroll over here, hopefully, kind of see some different players here. There's Chief Vendor. So, I
Right.
mean, obviously for me, I collect Chief Vendor. So
That's
this is
right up your
definitely
alley.
a set that I could collect as well. And I think if you're a pre-war guy, I mean, there's Ty Cobb there, um, Mordecai Brown. I mean, it looks like you're hitting almost every big Hall of Famer that was in this time period.
Right, right.
Sam Crawford.
Yeah, I think the 3 big ones are, of course, the Ty Cobb, Shoeless Joe Jackson, and then the Honus Wagner. That's
Now
the 3
you,
$5 ones.
yeah, and you mentioned that that George Sisler, this is his first card or first kind of
Right,
card like or insert. So a lot of people consider that to be close to his rookie card, correct?
right. Because the M101 4 set is considered his rookie card, and it's the exact same picture on the felt. I think that would be a really, really neat one to have.
So we get through the set here, and as you're looking through it, um, the one thing that strikes me is just, so you see these photos. How are the photos attached? Is it like just glued in, or are they kind of like embroidered in, or how is the actual photo attached to these cards?
Yeah, I believe they're either glued or ironed on.
Okay.
Um, of course, with the age of them and storage, some of them are a lot worse shape than others. But
Right.
it's pretty common for the pictures themselves to start the material to start peeling away. Now
Yeah,
these
because
are the
even
ones
in
that are
this
showing
photo,
right
you can
here are
see.
really nice.
Yeah.
But so a
Even in
lot
the
of them,
photo, you can see, like there's parts of the lettering that's falling off, and you know, um,
right?
it'd be hard to keep these in great shape. And I stopped here because you got Joe Jackson on the left, or left of my screen, and
Yeah,
Walter Johnson on the right. It's pretty cool because there's not a ton of sets that have Joe Jackson, Walter Johnson, Ty Cobb, Grover Alexander, all in one set. I mean, that's
right. And Wagner, yeah, and
yeah,
you got Lajoie, yeah. Now, some of the rarest pennants from the set are not what you would think. They were short printed. You have a Hans Lobert, you have a Red Faber,
so here's
Max.
the Hans Lobert.
Yep, Max Carey.
Okay.
Uh, so so those are known short prints, and for the people who try to put the set together, they're very, very tough.
You know, I think back when card collecting was really just starting, you know, these kind of sets were viewed very negatively. They weren't cards, right? They weren't traditional cards,
Correct.
and they weren't, let's say, as attractive to a lot of collectors. Like, hey, like this is like, a card. It's got the same shape. I could store it in my binders or in my, where I store everything else. And it's like shaped oddly. There's a lot of things about it that the original, I think, first generation card collectors, I think kind of thumbed their nose at this kind of a product.
Yeah, I think they discounted it. Sure, compared to the cards. The cards were much easier to store.
Yeah.
One of the bad parts about this was a lot of the felts today have been sewed together. Um, you know,
Yeah.
and they were put together and made like blankets or pillowcases out of them. And
Right.
so
I saw that.
a lot of them are have thread up and down the sides. They're all wrinkled and damaged. That's why they are a little tougher to find, looking like they are right here.
Well, I think it's interesting here. We're seeing a Wally Pip card. I mean, you don't see a ton of Wally Pip cards, right?
Right, right.
That's really neat to see something from him. So again, just walking through the set, there's so many cool players from this time period,
Yes.
um, that just don't have tons of cards.
And there's the
There's George
Sisler.
Sisler. Yep.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I mean, Ray Schalk.
Right.
There's just so many really cool players, and players that may only be in this set. I mean, I know we haven't gone through every card, but it's like there's got to be probably players here that have never been in other sets, or maybe very, very low amounts of cards in other sets, which
Right.
also kind of makes this set really cool. Um, to see something like that. Now, here's like what you were talking about. You've got this pillowcase.
Right. Now
Someone's
these are
actually.
yeah, these were actually this was actually something that you could send off for.
So this
Uh,
actually was made by them.
correct. That was made by the
Wow, that's
vendor.
kind of crazy.
Yeah. But this was a popular thing back in 1916. Now the ones that we're showing right there are the premiums, which
Yes.
are a 23-inch compared to the 6-inch bakery felts. And
Okay.
they were distributed a little differently. And they are much, much rarer. And they go anywhere from a common is probably $1,500 just for a common. And then if you get into Christy Mathewson and Ty Cobb, they can be, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. They're that tough, right?
So the one thing that's interesting to me going through the set, because it's not a set I've paid much attention to, just because like it's just not been on my radar. So I think it's cool that you're bringing it to my attention as well. There's your Joe Wood, but there's
Yeah,
no Cy Young,
correct. You're right.
which is
Yeah, Cy
interesting.
Young was already out of the picture by 1916.
Yeah, but I think but if you think contemporarily wise, you still have all the players, mostly in the T206 set, but Cy
Right,
Young is gone. He's done, right?
right.
So
Yeah,
And how many years had Joe Wood been playing by this time?
He started in 1909.
Okay.
So this would have been his 7th year.
And
This
was
is
he
his,
mostly a hitter at this point, or was he still pitching for the most
yeah,
part?
he was still pitching at this point, right?
Okay.
I think the very next year he got traded to Cleveland.
Okay. Yeah, and I find it interesting just how they do these premiums, and it's just a really crazy. Like, look at the Cobb.
I
It's
know,
just
it's
you
crazy.
kind of see it right there. It's really wild looking thing.
Yeah, those pennants, they're called premium pennants, and they were 23 inches long, so they were probably 3 times the size of the regular bakery pennants. And the way you could get a hold of those, when you bought bakery bread, it come with a card, and it's from the D381 bread series. Let me show you a picture of. This is the Joe Wood,
Okay.
and this is from the Fleischmann Bakery.
Okay.
Now, the pennants actually came from the Ferguson Bakery, but it's the D381 set. You have 2 different type of cards. You have the Fleischmann and the Ferguson Bakery. The Ferguson Bakery are quite a bit tougher. The only way you can really tell a difference is on the coupon right down here. There'll be one line for the Ferguson Bakery, and then 2 lines, like on this one, for the Fleischmann Bakery.
Okay.
And the pictures that are pictured on the premium pennants are all pictures from this card set right here instead of the M101s. And this is from the Underwood and Underwood photography. So
Okay.
these are all exclusive to the Underwood and Underwood, Fleischmann and Ferguson Bakery. And those are the pictures that were used on the big pennants right there.
Wow. Yeah, and you're saying, like, these are incredibly rare. Like, you're not
Oh
going to
yeah,
find these just laying around at the National on
I've
a
I've
table.
only ever seen one in my lifetime,
Okay.
and it was in a card shop locally here in Indianapolis.
Really? You didn't
Yeah,
buy it?
and this was probably 35 years ago.
Ah, okay.
To be honest, back then I didn't even know what it was. The owner of the card shop, I was very inquisitive at the time, and he told me that these were pretty rare, and I kind of discounted it at the time.
Well, I mean, we know a lot more about stuff today than we do than we did back then.
Oh, definitely.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
rarity and just kind of like, um, what's kind of like cool. And like, kind of following up on my point, that is like, in today's collecting and in today's hobby, oddball, rarity, stuff that isn't normal is becoming much more popular.
right.
Like, people aren't so stuck on it has to be a card. It can't be it can't be a silk or a pennant or a leather. All the premiums that were out there in this time period. And I do feel like sets like this, and the one thing this set really has going for it, in my opinion, is it's just got a super strong player selection.
It does. Yeah.
And if you can build a rainbow of your favorite player, I just can't imagine. And the fact that with SGC giving it that new cool holder to where it
Right.
looks more normal in your collection, that you're not going to probably, I think you're going to see, player collectors, really, go after these cards because it's something new, something cool. And we were going to look at VCP here and look at some prices, right?
Right.
So let's look at VCP. And the first one we got it because we were kind of looking at some of the prices here. And this just sold in March of last year. David Vintage seemed to have quite a few of these at one point. And I think that's where you said you got one of your Joe Woods, right? From
Correct.
David
Yeah.
Vintage.
Yes.
So here is I guess, yellow or orange. And this is close to being, his kind of a rookie card. And this price point seems to me to indicate that collectors do view this card as being his rookie card or close to it.
Yes.
It's a pretty strong price.
Yeah, it's pretty strong price, but compared to his M1014 card, I mean, it is it's a discount. I mean, it is a bargain.
Now, so there's a brown. We saw an orange, and let's see what this one is. So here's sort of and that's sort of the old holder, right? So this is saying this is what they looked like before they got the new holder, right?
Exactly. When I first got into pre-war, I ran across this set, and I ran across a Joe Wood, and it was a light blue Joe Wood, and it was a really pretty pennant. And this holder stopped me from buying it.
Okay.
And then when they started putting them into smaller holders, that's when I decided I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and start collecting them.
Yeah. So there's the new holder versus the old, which looks so much better.
Oh, definitely.
Tremendously better than that floating in the middle of a bunch of plastic type of holder. Now, the thing that's interesting to me, again, being someone just paying attention to the set for the first time, is we looked at 3 cards and they all had different colors.
Correct.
So again, like, it just feels like it's so modern for a set made in 1916, right?
Right. It's kind of like
parallels.
Yeah, it's kind of like what is it? The prism cards that have all the different colors.
Different colors and refractors. So I know we were going to look at Joe Wood because, again, I think you can kind of look at your card. So when did you actually pick up your last Joe Wood card?
Probably a few years ago, but I think it was off of a collector.
Well,
so
here's the only Joe Wood that's in the actual
right. And
history.
I missed out on this one. I was actually pursuing this one.
Well, someone looks like they just submitted a best offer and he took it.
Right. It got away from me pretty quick. I think it was only on eBay for like 2 or 3 days.
Would you have paid $325 for it?
Yes, sir. I would have.
Okay. So no, I totally feel you because obviously this card is beautiful. And I just saw, on the list, the Bender. And so I know I was looking at some of the Bender cards. I think one just sold recently as well. And
somewhere around the same price, right?
Yeah. So now let's talk about the grade condition because, $325 right there. Someone sold the exact, and it's the same color.
Yeah.
Now it looks like it's in really good shape. Can you explain why they're all authentic graded? Because if you look through here, they're all authentic.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where because it's not a card and there's no definition to grading standards, they decide not to grade it. It's either authentic or not authentic.
Now, we do have one exception, right? Beckett at one point was grading these, right? So here's a Joe Jackson.
Right. And I'm not sure how they came up with a grading standard for those, and they no longer do that.
And this has a sticker on the back.
Yes.
And then there is the regular Joe Jackson.
Right.
So they came up with a number grade, so this is a 2. But everything else SGC is authentic. And we looked at the last sale price of one from last year, still in the older holder.
Yes.
And $8,000 for an authentic.
Right.
So do you feel like this is a bargain compared to what you would normally pay for a Joe Jackson card?
Yes. It's probably at least a third of the price of a M101 4 or 5 Joe Jackson with any back, blank back or sporting news.
So, for Joe Jackson, would the E90 or does he have an E90?
Yeah, he has an E90-1.
Would that be his cheapest card?
No, definitely not. That's actually a little tougher card.
Okay.
It was a short print in the caramel set,
Okay.
and that shows him with the athletics.
Ah, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was just wondering like what his cheapest card would be, because this seems like a pretty good deal. I mean, one sold in 2022 for 4,000.
Right.
Black, which to me the black kind of fits his.
It does. Right. The Black Sox.
To have a black pennant would be pretty cool.
Right. Yeah.
Being a black sock. To me, $4,000 in the REA auction seems pretty good, and price wise. And I was going to look at the Honus Wagner because you know, as a Pirate fan, like what his cards go for, and the last one sold in 2024 in January, $2,000. That's a cool looking. I mean,
It is. It is.
I would enjoy owning that.
Yes. I mean, how many Wagner material can you own for $2,000?
Yeah, that looks really nice. Like this is a nice looking piece.
Exactly.
It's
yeah.
not.
It's the perfect collector companion for that time era, especially if you like the M101s, which I think are awesome cards anyway.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of having cards that look cool on display, right?
Correct. Yes.
And this is one of those things that when you put them on display, like here's what we're talking about with the BVG4, right?
Yes.
You've got the Grover Alexander in this 4 that's sold multiple times. This, it's been going on 4 years now since the last sale here.
Yeah, that's a tough one right there.
But yeah, I'd love to own this card. This is such a cool card, such a cool collectible pennant, whatever you want to call it. I think this is where it's interesting because this is one of the few ones we saw where they're mostly BBG graded.
Yes.
So it's just interesting how that occurred. I think to me it's like for you, I know like when you look at putting these cards up or these pennants up next to your other Joe Woods, it's a compliment, right? It gives it color.
Yeah.
It gives it some difference, from just the cards.
Right.
Makes the entire.
And I display them next to my M101 different backs, and because they have the exact same picture on the front.
Yeah.
So they're a great companion for them in display, like you said, for display.
Yeah.
And they're just a nice, unique conversation piece too.
Yeah, no, I think it's just anything else. It's like when you put your cards on display, you want to have like some variation and some eye appeal. And these cards, they definitely have good eye appeal.
Right.
They definitely look cool. Like definitely draw your eye to them and make people go like, hey, what is that? That's pretty cool. What's the story behind that?
Yeah.
And I know when I was down in the National, we saw the leathers. I was like, man, those things look so cool.
They are.
But I'm like, I just can't, they're just so different.
Yeah. I would love to have one, but I don't think that I'm willing to pay that type of money for it.
Well, and two, it feels like you'd have to have some different way of preserving them and displaying them.
Yeah.
They're just so different.
Yeah. They had some really neat Indian ones too.
Yeah. Remember those? Well, that was the one that I was really impressed with, was the Native American.
I think those are beautiful. Yeah.
They were really impressive. And like I said, I this year, and I know me and Doug are going to come back next time with kind of our 2025 want list and what we're going to be looking for. And, we're going to the National again and where we're going to try to hit the National with. So, we'll talk about kind of our 2025 plans. But, things like that, I want unique stuff. I want rare stuff. I want stuff that like, you're just not going to find every day on eBay, kind of thing.
Right.
And those things fit that bill. Like, I'm not sure they're going to be on the list, but like, they were definitely cool.
Right. I like, and we seen them last year at the National, the S81 silks.
Yes.
I think they're, especially the Mathewson. The Mathewson is just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. Well, I think, number one for me, as a preview is, I think number one for me is I need to get the T3 Chrissy Matthews. I think that to me
Yeah.
is the perfect teeth, the perfect pre-war card.
Yeah.
It's probably I view it in the Cy Young. I always forget the set year. The set is from the red one. Like
Oh, the E90-1.
the E90-1. That's like
Yeah.
perfectly designed pre-war cards. Like you can't make that card look nicer than it is.
Right.
That T3 Mathewson, his hat, just everything about that card screams like like
That
perfect
era of baseball.
era of baseball, right? And then
Yeah.
that Cy Young card and his uniform and the red background. I know a lot of people love the Cobb red and all that stuff, but to me, it's that Cy Young card. To me, I look at that card in any condition. I'm like, I want to own that card.
Yeah.
I really want that card. So those two cards, I know they're not cheap vendor cards, but they are high on my list of cards. I just would love to have in my collection because they just are so beautiful and they encompass that era of cards pretty perfectly. Like like if I had only one pre-war card in my collection, it'd be hard for me not to want that T3 Mathewson.
Right.
Um,
But you
but
have
the
a
Cy
T.
Young is very nice too. The Cobb is a beautiful card. So it's like that whole set is amazingly, probably one of the nicest sets ever created.
I'm just jealous that you have the Bender
I
T3.
do, and a
Yeah.
pretty good grade. I have a 4.
Yeah, that's
So
a nice
I
card.
lucked out and got it early before everything kind of just blew up.
Right.
Um, but yeah, no, I know on your side, with the Joe Wood, it's like it's going to be probably things I've never heard of in your
Exactly.
Joe Wood collection
Yeah.
that you need, which is fun because this is like I'm learning a lot. You know, these pennant cards are awesome. They look cool, and the thing I like about them too is that they have a picture with them. They're just not a
Yes.
name because I've seen some pennants that just have a name on them.
Right. There's a lot of pennants from the 30s and 40s that are similar in size, and they have just a generic picture,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know who it is, and then they have the name on it.
The set I'm going to talk about, get it up here and present it, is the 97 Donruss Limited product, the set itself. So in general, the set itself is designed to be a knockoff of 97 Finest tops. It's got 4 subsets, and then there's a refractor version of all those subsets that are limited to different, levels of rarity. And then there's a game used version of the set as well. So they kind of upped the ante and they said, oh, we're going to make a chrome based set that's going to have refractors and we're going to have game used. So it's sort of like, Topps Finest on steroids. But there were some problems with the execution. But in general, the base cards here were limited to numbers here, like star factors were 1,100 apiece. Unlimited were 1,400. The thing that doesn't make sense here is, again, there's twice as many star factors as the limited. So, but then there's less printed of the star factor than unlimited. But the star factors are easier to get out of a pack. It's just confusing. It's like, how do you put this all together? And I think that's what happened. And then you get into the actual star factor itself, or the limited exposures, and they're not numbered. But the big thing to think here is that the star factor limited exposures are, they're refractors, but they are limited to 40 copies each. And so that's really rare in the 90s. 40 copies of a card. All of the major stars are in that star factor set. If you go up to the actual checklist, you can kind of see who the players are. But King Griffey Jr. is in it. Frank Thomas is in it. Derek Jeter's in that set. Cal Ripken. So really, Barry Bonds. They all have a star factor, and the star factors. Printed to 40. The other
So
thing that happened was in '98 when they went bankrupt, when Donruss went bankrupt, or Pinnacle, which owned Donruss brand, a lot of these limited exposures were dumped on the market as backdoored or probably cut from sheets. The thing that's interesting here is we don't know for sure how many star factors were issued this way, and that's hurt the set too. What's also hurt the set is they have very strong condition issues. They're off center. They have print lines, and so finding PSA 10s is tough. And the '90s collectors love their PSA 10s. So if they can't get a PSA 10 Ken Griffey Jr., they don't want the card. So, it's a real thing. They can't have a 10, they don't want the card. So this is a set that doesn't lend itself easily to high grade. So, we'll go over here to eBay to kind of show you what the prices are. But, Doug, when you were collecting, have you ever seen these cards? Was this something you were aware of in the '90s, or just
I have seen this? I've seen the limited. I've seen the limited exposure. I've seen that card, but
okay.
If that's limited to 40,
yes.
If that was, let's say, essential credential to 40,
yes.
I mean that would just be through the roof, correct?
Yeah, like a Griffey number to 40 PMG, or if the or just even something like a contemporary product like 97 Finest embossed gold refractor, which we don't know what those print runs are, but people think they're 20 to 50 cards. You're talking 10, five, six figures, or sorry, five figures, $20,000 to $30,000 for those cards. And if it's a PMG number to 40, I would say you're getting up there in that $50,000 to $60,000 range right now for Griffey.
Yeah.
And so, when I look at the actual sales of these cards, and I'll show you, what the last couple have sold, they're definitely not bringing that kind of money. And, I think that's one of the problems with, or not problem, is just one of the reasons why I kind of think they're undervalued is, here's where a Barry Bonds just sold for $400. Now, to some people, they might think that's really expensive, right? But again, to Doug's point, if this was a PMG number to 40 or a gold refractor number to 40, that that card would be at least $2,000 or $3,000 and maybe more of Barry Bonds. Maybe pushing close to 5,000 for the same card. So, and the thing I look at it too is I own one of these cards. I have it in hand. I have a Gary Sheffield, and it's a super nice card. These cards are very well designed. So in hand, they look really cool and really nice. So they're not like something that like they're ugly or they don't have any eye appeal. Obviously, I mentioned those, off center and the lines, but when you get one like these two cards right here, this Barry Bonds and Barry Larkin, which don't really have those kind of quality issues, they're really nice cards. So I'm not sure why they're not selling. You can see kind of, Bernie Williams sold for $100, which is for Bernie Williams is a good price. But again, you're not seeing, big prices for Hall of Famers. There's a Smoltz, a Glavin, the Gary Sheffield. Again, you're not seeing big prices. But here is the Griffey counterpart, which is the easiest one to get, and $55 because it's a very nice looking refractor. You can see how nice and shiny that card is. So I just think it's one of those sets where here's another counterpart for $50 and a PSA 8. That you're just, to me, it's like to be on the lookout for. Here's a Deion Sanders for $50, Star Factor. Even though it has a print line, it's still limited to 40. And I just think it's one of those things where, as a collector of the '90s, I don't ever see these cards in the wild. And I'll give you one other is that every day on eBay, I can buy a box of 97 Finest, Series 1, Series 2, every day. I can go to card shows and buy boxes of 97 Finest. I've never seen a box of this for sale on eBay or at a card show. I'm not sure there's any of this left unopened. If there is, it's either in collections that people just don't want to open it, or people are hoarding it. Maybe they are. Maybe there's someone out there hoarding this product. I don't know. But
Jason, what
for
was the
none
price
of it
point
to be
on
for
this?
sale is weird.
What was the price point on this product when it came out?
So when it came out, it was a premium product. So the set was $5 a pack, 24 packs in a box. So to give you context, 97 Finest. Let me pull that up here. Um, 97 Finest was $5 a pack, 24 packs in a box. So it was really designed to be a Finest knockoff.
Right.
And but again, I can find boxes of 97 Finest Series 1 and Series 2 all day long for, let's say 175 $200 a box. And it's two series. So it was printed, like in two different series. So it's got more cards. This set, I believe, only has 200 cards total. 97 Finest has 350. So I'm just saying, keep an eye out looking for it. If you can find a box of it, I definitely want to talk to you because I'd like to open it just to have it, the experience. But yeah, it's just one of those products that kind of got lost in the shuffle from the 90s that still is very cool. And it also has really nice game used cards. There's some game used cards in the set numbered to 100. The Griffey's numbered to 250, I believe. So it's like there's game used cards that look cool. There's these inserts that are refractor looking cards that look really nice. So just one of those sets that I think it's kind of lost to time. But as a player collector, these cards are hard to get. If you really want to be a completionist, they are hard to find.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
Do you think this would be an item that would catch momentum if they had been marked properly as far as numbered?
They were numbered?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I think 100% that if they would have numbered these, it would have made this set so much more valuable. But like here's the the unlimited or limited exposure star, or these are called unlimiteds right here. They look great. I mean, just looking at the cards, they look great. There's a Jeter star factor. The thing that always just surprises me though is that the 97 Finest set isn't numbered, and they go for a tremendous amount more than this product. There's some other insert sets that aren't numbered from the 90s that people really pay a lot of money for. So I think because it was a set that was oddball to some extent, it was the first year they did this in the only year. And that's another thing too to think about too is I think this only existed, limited exposures only existed in the 90s for this one set.
Wow.
So that's another cool factor too. Is like there's only one limited exposure Ken Griffey Jr. card in existence. Just like there's only one Ken Griffey Jr. 90 embossed refractor, gold refractor. There's only one. They didn't do it every year. They didn't do it 5 years. They did it once.
Yeah.
So this is a set they only did one time. So it kind of gives it to that unique factor as well. So yeah, that's like my set. Like it's not as cool as the felt cards, but it's one of those sets that I think, again, I preach this a lot. Is the 90s have this diversity of products, and not everything that's rare is super expensive. This is still pretty affordable. I know you might think $500 for a Barry Bonds or $400 for a Barry Bonds. It's expensive, but in 90s currency, that card sold really cheap for the rarity. So I think that it's still an affordable product. We talked about we're going to come back with another video on, what's our goals for 2025 collecting. Doug, is there any auctions coming up soon? Any big time? Um,
Yeah, we have Memory Lane and
okay,
Heritage auction that's in the middle of right now. Memory Lane's going to be closing, I think, at the end of the week.
okay.
So and then we got a
Is there
big.
anything in there that you're watching?
There's stuff I'm watching, but not watching with the incentive of buying.
Okay,
I always like to keep an eye on stuff just to see
yeah.
um, where the market goes with certain stuff.
Well,
So
obviously, when those auctions close, we'll go through and kind of do another recap. I
yeah,
think I love to kind of look and see what was there and kind of look at, because as the year progresses, obviously, we'll be in the market looking for cards, and as we go through our kind of want list, when it matches up with something in a big auction, that's going to be kind of fun to see if we can actually win a few of these
right.
kind of cards in these big auctions, and kind of get some of those cards off, check marked off that list this year, and see how good we'll
Exactly.
do on that, because it's always fun to get a few of those big cards.
Right. And the problem is that when you're going to the big auction houses and you're looking for stuff that you and I would be looking for, like we
Yeah,
talked about, rare stuff that doesn't show up very often, uh, it's hard to comp this material.
yep,
You just pretty much have to be comfortable to pay for it or just bail out.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
because
No,
it may show up this year and may not show up for 5 years.
yeah, no, I think, Doug, I think, you know, um, this is why I think, this rare pre-war, even 90 stuff is so much fun to collect, is that it doesn't really matter what the economic conditions are or what's going on in the collectible world, right?
Right.
If two or three collectors need this card, it's going to go higher than the last time it sold most of the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're going to have to your point, get comfortable with maybe paying more than the last time it sold.
Yeah.
Um, because we're talking about cards that sometimes have pop counts in the teens, you know. Um, Sometimes they come up for auction or sale once every 10 years. So you're going to have to kind of like put that into consideration, that this is super rare, doesn't come up for auction very often. You know, I'm not going to go off a comp that's 6 years old to determine what I'm going to pay, tomorrow.
Right.
And I think that's where you have to be careful.
I just paid for a card, and we talked about it before we came on tonight. Uh, the last comp on it was from 2012. Is the last time it sold, because it's a one of one card,
Yeah.
and I paid 8 times what it sold for in 2012.
Hmm.
So I mean, comps are out the door. It's either you want it
Right.
or you let it roll.
Well, and in that case, it's a 101. If another collector buys it, it's gone.
Right, exactly.
And
It's not going to show up again.
well, I
It's
mean, for me, my biggest next white whale is going to be the 97 embossed refractor Griffey, the gold.
yeah,
Silver, sure, I need it as well, but the gold has turned into a you
monster
know
card.
a monster card. Yeah, it's turned
Yeah,
into a status symbol for Griffey collectors. Like, you know, I've seen Griffey collectors that have like 10 cards, but that's one of them. Like, because it's like I only have 10 Griffey cards and this is one of the best ones, so I'm going to have it. I have a
right.
PMG, I have a 97 embossed refractor. It's like it's a status symbol for Griffey and 90s collectors.
Yeah,
I've seen Jordan guys that only have one Griffey card and it's that card. So it just is turned into this kind of alpha and omega card.
yeah,
And so, yeah, like, that's going to be whenever I decide I'm going to go after that card, just like when I did my 68 3D Clemente, it's going to be, I'm going to have to just throw caution to the wind and go for it.
Right.
Because whatever I'm going to pay is not going to be a sane amount,
No,
because
you won't get
it'll
it.
be whatever it takes to get it. Right.
Exactly. Yep.
I can't go off the last comp. I can't be like, I'll give you, I want to get, I want to try to get it 85%. That way I have some room if I'm going to sell it. No, it's like either you want to buy it or you don't.
Right.
And if you want to buy it, be prepared to pay more than the last guy who bought it.
Right. Comps are out the door.
Yeah, because there's so many people who want it. It's not like, you're going to sit around and be like, well, another one's going to come tomorrow. Well, even if one does, there's three or 400 other people wanting it,
right, stand in
right
line
behind
it. Yeah.
So that's that's the thing, is like, it makes the hobby fun and makes the hobby frustrating, but
Right.
it also makes it, when you knock those big pieces off, you feel so much like, like that becomes a major part of your collection. Like that
It helps
becomes
me breathe a little easier.
Yeah, I mean, you picked up your 14 Cracker Jack Joe Wood.
Yeah.
I'm sure you feel like now I don't have to ever worry about that card ever again.
Correct.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited that that we're when we go to the national again to see like what each of us kind of take home, because it's always fun to kind of, because you always root for the other person,
right,
to find the card they're looking for, and not just each other, but like all the buddies that you have at that show.
Yeah.
We want people to knock cards off. When I was at the national last year, I don't know if you remember this, Doug, like there was a 93 finest Frank Thomas refractor at the show.
Oh, right, and you helped somebody else.
Yeah, and it's a card I need for, it's on my list of cards I need.
Yeah.
But there was a big Frank Thomas collector at the show, and he was a friend of my channel, and we were talking. I'm like, hey, I know where one's at, and it's at a good price, and I think the card's pretty nice.
He'd have never found that.
Yeah, and I went over there, showed him where it was at. He looked at it and he bought it, and he's like, "Are you okay with me buying it?" I'm like, "Dude, like, I'm good. Like, I've got some cool cards this show, but you this is like your number one card, man. You're telling me like this is the one you want.
Yeah.
So have at it." That's what's fun with the national. Like, it's not just everything about what you picked up,
right?
Because you're rooting for other people to find their stuff too.
This will help me motivate me to actually get it out of my head and put it down on pen and paper. So,
well, and too, I think when you put it down on paper too, you kind of then look at comps and you kind of go like, what's it going to take? Like, do I need to sell a few cards? Do I need to, it gives you an idea of like, I need to have a budget.
Right.
I need to maybe think about, how I position myself so I can maybe pick that, this card up. And the thing about it too is you never know what's going to be an auction. You never know.
True. That's
Every
true.
year there's, I like I bemoan this to Doug quite a bit, but not picking up that Victory Tobacco Bender when I had two chances to buy it. I'm still kicking myself because guess what? 6 years later, not seeing another one.
Right.
Yeah. Not seeing another one.
Well, that's what we were talking about with these auctions. You just never know. If you don't pay up for it when it comes time, it may not show up again, or for a very long time.
Or if it does, you're going to pay, to your point, 8 times what you had to pay the first time around.
Yeah.
So there's lots of cool things to talk about and discuss, and this is all about collecting, about learning, and hopefully you guys had fun. If you have questions for me and Doug, let me know. I'll pass on any question you send to my channel to Doug. I'll put his email in the in the actual you call it like the notes or whatever, the video, so you can contact Doug if you want to talk to him. And we'll see you next time.
Yep. Had fun, Jason.
All right, you too, Doug.
See you, buddy.
Bye.